The movie is about long time ago before the rise of the pyramids. A ruthless horde swept across the ancient world, conquering all in its path. Leading this unstoppable force was Memnon, the greatest swordsman ever known. By the law of the horde, he was crowned king, ruling with an iron fist and unmatched skill. But Memnon's true power came from a mysterious sorcerer, whose visions foretold the outcome of every battle. With this supernatural advantage, Memnon crushed all who dared to resist him, leaving only a handful of brave warriors standing between him and total domination. In the face of such tyranny, one man rises, a fierce Akkadian warrior named Mathayus, determined to stop Memnon and change the fate of the ancient world. Mathayus and his brothers, highly skilled Akkadian assassins, are hired by a group of rebel leaders who are desperate to stop Memnon's reign of terror. They believe the key to Memnon's success lies not just in his strength as a warrior, but in the visions of his sorcerer, Cassandra, who accurately predicts the outcome of every battle. Without her guidance, Memnon would be vulnerable, giving the rebels a chance to fight back. Under the cover of night, Mathayus and his brothers sneak into Memnon's heavily guarded desert camp. They move silently through the shadows, avoiding patrols and using their assassin skills to eliminate any guards who cross their path. Their mission is clear: find and kill the sorcerer. When Mathayus enters the Memnon's camp, he encounters Arpid, a talkative horse thief awaiting execution. Arpid, hopeful for rescue, expects Mathayus to free him. However, annoyed by Arpid's constant chatter, Mathayus silences him with a single punch. With Arpid momentarily quiet, Mathayus continues his mission without further distraction. However, as they get closer to their target, the mission takes a turn for the worse. They are betrayed by Prince Takmet. A fierce battle erupts, drawing the attention of Memnon's soldiers, leading to a fierce confrontation. During this chaos, Jessup is captured and Mathayus witnesses his brother's brutal execution at the hands of Memnon, which deeply fuels Mathayus's desire for revenge. Mathayus sneaks into Memnon's camp to assassinate the sorceress Cassandra, believing her death will weaken Memnon's power. As Mathayus draws his arrow to kill her, Cassandra calmly says, "You have betrayed Mathayus." Shocked that she knows his name, Mathayus hesitates and ultimately spares her life. Before he can escape, Memnon's soldiers capture him, and Memnon, enraged by the attack, executes Mathayus's brother as punishment. Just as Memnon prepares to kill Mathayus, Cassandra intervenes, claiming her vision shows that killing Mathayus would bring great misfortune because the gods favor him on this night. Intrigued and wary of tempting fate, Memnon spares Mathayus but chooses a cruel alternative, burying him in the sand to face a slow, painful death. After Mathayus is captured, he is buried up to his neck in the desert sand as punishment. A fellow prisoner, Arpid, a horse thief, is also facing execution nearby. Arpid quickly devises a plan to escape. He uses his resourcefulness and agility to distract the guards and create a diversion. With quick thinking, he finds a way to escape out of the pit before the fire ants can inflict any harm. Arpid manages to escape his own predicament. As he flees, he sees Mathayus struggling in the pit and decides to help him. After Mathayus is rescued, he and Arpid form an alliance. Memnon visits Cassandra, his sorceress, seeking insight into the fate of his enemies. Cassandra responds with confidence, predicting that Memnon's armies will triumph in the west. Memnon, pleased with her foresight, orders his generals to prepare for victory. Memnon then expresses his desire for Cassandra to stand by him as he becomes a legendary king, stating, "I rise as the king of legend, you shall reign beside me in power and in bed," implying a more personal relationship. Yet, Cassandra firmly states that being with him would rob her of her prophetic abilities, which are crucial to his success in battle. After Cassandra revealed the truth to Memnon, he replied, "By then I will no longer need to fight, for all my enemies will have fallen." Mathayus and Arpid journey across the harsh desert toward Gamara, the heart of Memnon's kingdom. After escaping execution, Mathayus is determined to complete his mission and weaken Memnon by capturing the sorceress Cassandra, whose visions ensure Memnon's victories. As they navigate the scorching sands, Arpid provides comic relief, complaining about the heat and their dire situation, while Mathayus remains focused on the mission. Mathayus arrives in Gamara, carefully navigating the bustling streets while planning his next move against Memnon. As he moves through the crowd, a group of street kids approaches, pretending to be friendly guides. One of the kids cleverly distracts Mathayus while another quickly cuts the pouch holding his precious minerals. Realizing he's been robbed, Mathayus chases after the child through the narrow alleys. After a brief pursuit, he catches the boy and retrieves his stolen minerals. However, instead of punishing the child, Mathayus proposes a deal. He'll give the boy 1 mineral if he shows him a secret way into Memnon's palace. Seeing the value in the offer, the boy agrees and leads Mathayus through hidden paths and tunnels, avoiding the heavily guarded main entrances. Once they reach a safe vantage point near the palace, Mathayus keeps his word and hands the boy a mineral, sealing their unlikely alliance. Mathayus stands atop the tower in Memnon's castle, where he finds Memnon exercising. Suddenly, the guards enter, dragging a child who had previously received a mineral from Mathayus. The guards suspect the boy of theft and, preparing to chop off his hand, raise an axe. In an instant, Mathayus fires an arrow, knocking the axe away. Without hesitation, Mathayus shoots another arrow at Memnon, but Memnon deflects it with his sword. The guards retaliate with a volley of arrows, but Mathayus evades them and sprints toward the scientist's room. As the guards close in, he manages to escape and enters Memnon's sleeping quarters, where he encounters Memnon's prostitutes. The prostitutes deceive Mathayus, disarming him completely. They quickly ring the bell to summon the guards. When the guards arrive and attack, Mathayus fights back and escapes, using the bell itself as a shield. He then rushes to the room where the sorceress Cassandra is bathing. Alarmed, Cassandra grabs a knife to defend herself, but upon seeing the guards break down the door, Mathayus seizes her and escapes with her through the swimming pool. They successfully flee the city. Meanwhile, Arpid notices Memnon's guards scattered throughout Gamara and assumes Mathayus has been killed. Convinced of his death, Arpid decides to leave the city, taking Mathayus's camel, believing it now rightfully belongs to him. However, while on the road, Arpid is shocked to suddenly encounter Mathayus and the sorceress Cassandra alive and well. Mathayus, Arpid, and Cassandra journey through the treacherous Valley of the Dead, facing numerous dangers and challenges. The valley is a place feared by many, and Arpid's reluctance to enter it highlights the risks they are taking. At night, Cassandra, overwhelmed by fear and the grim reality of their situation, attempts to escape. Mathayus ties his leg to hers so that he will wake up if she tries to leave. When she run, the rope made him awake. Cassandra, she tries to fight him back. She fails. Later, she explains her situation, revealing that she was captured by Memnon many years ago when she was a child. She tells Mathayus that when she saw him, she knew he was the man who could help her escape. This is why she lied to Memnon, telling him that if he killed Mathayus, a curse would be upon him, allowing Mathayus to live. Mathayus then gives Cassandra a choice. She can either leave or remain with him. During a fierce sandstorm, Mathayus leads Thorak, Memnon's formidable warrior, and his men into a nearby cave. The intense battle that ensues is marked by Mathayus's cunning and combat prowess. Despite being outnumbered, he manages to outmaneuver and kill Thorak and his soldiers. However, in the heat of the fight, Thorak strikes Mathayus with an arrow poisoned with scorpion venom, leaving him severely wounded. At night, Cassandra steps forward to use her magical abilities to heal Mathayus. Despite the risks involved, she channels her powers, demonstrating her deep connection to Mathayus and her commitment to their cause. This act of healing not only saves Mathayus's life, but also solidifies their alliance against Memnon, reinforcing the bond between them as they prepare to confront the tyrant together. The next morning, Arpid wakes Mathayus and tells him that Cassandra healed his wounds. Surprised, Mathayus checks his leg and finds it completely healed. Curious, he asks Cassandra why you risked your life for me. She explains that she believes he is the one who can help free the people from Memnon's tyranny. Suddenly, Mathayus notices a hawk. Realizing an opportunity, Mathayus pulls the necklace from Thorak's body and ties it to the hawk, sending it as a message to Memnon. When Memnon receives the hawk and recognizes the necklace, he immediately understands that Mathayus has killed Thorak and his men. Furious, Memnon orders his soldiers to prepare for battle, knowing Mathayus will come for him soon. As Mathayus, Arpid, and Cassandra prepare to leave, a sudden explosion erupts nearby. They rush toward the source and discover a quirky scientist who has successfully invented a bomb. Excited by his breakthrough, the scientist eagerly calls them over to demonstrate his powerful new creation. After seeing the scientist's work, Mathayus, Cassandra, and Arpid head to the river to bathe and collect water. While Arpid enjoys his bath, they are suddenly surrounded and captured by Balthazar's soldiers, the warriors of the region. They are taken to Balthazar's village, where the fierce leader immediately recognizes Mathayus as a dangerous assassin wanted by Memnon. Tension rises as Balthazar and his guards argue over what to do with the captives. The guards suggest keeping Mathayus, Cassandra, and Arpid under watch, but Balthazar, seeing Mathayus as a threat, insists on executing him. He also orders his men to arrest Cassandra, fearing her connection to Memnon. A brutal fight breaks out between Mathayus and Balthazar, showcasing Balthazar's impressive strength and combat skills. He initially overpowers Mathayus, but with resilience and strategy, Mathayus gains the upper hand and manages to pin Balthazar down. Despite his defeat, Balthazar warns Mathayus that Memnon will come to his village and slaughter everyone because Mathayus has taken Cassandra, who is crucial to Memnon's power. At night, as the village celebrates, a young child greets Cassandra, but she suddenly experiences a terrifying vision of the entire village being destroyed and its people slaughtered by Memnon's forces. Panicked, she rushes to Mathayus's room and shares her vision. However, Mathayus, confident in his strength, assures her if Memnon comes here, it will be the end of him. Cassandra then sees another vision, Mathayus's death at Memnon's hands. Desperate, she warns him if you face Memnon, it will be the end of your life. But Mathayus remains defiant, refusing to back down. As emotions run high, they find comfort in each other, sharing a passionate night together. Before sunrise, Cassandra quietly leaves the village, determined to sacrifice herself by returning to Memnon and preventing the village's destruction. When Mathayus wakes and realizes she's gone, he quickly prepares to leave. As he mounts a horse, Balthazar appears, angrily wiping dust off the horse and demanding, "Why are you leaving with my horse without permission?" Mathayus explains, "I'm going to save Cassandra, she left to save your village." Realizing the gravity of the situation, Balthazar sets aside their rivalry. He rallies his warriors, and together they join forces with Mathayus to storm Memnon's castle, determined to end his tyranny once and for all. Memnon arrives at a grand celebration within his castle, where people are enjoying music, dance, and feasting. He addresses the crowd, announcing that they will ride into battle the next day and urging them to eat and drink their fill. Memnon boasts about his recent victories, mentioning that his enemy fled like a coward, leaving behind his bow. However, the commander of his soldiers expresses concern that the sorceress Cassandra is missing, which could unsettle the troops. Memnon reassures him that Cassandra is safe, but the commander suggests that her presence is crucial for the soldiers' morale. Cassandra then appears, explaining that she was unwell but is now revitalized by the prospect of victory. Memnon asks her to reassure the soldiers by sharing her visions, and she complies, predicting a great victory where their enemies will be revealed to them. Memnon decides to kill Commander as he believes he is coward. Outside Memnon's castle, Mathayus, Arpad, Balthazar, and their warriors launch a fierce assault, cutting down Memnon's soldiers one by one. As the battle intensifies, Mathayus climbs to the upper levels of the castle, determined to confront Memnon directly. Inside, Memnon senses that Cassandra is no longer loyal and suspects she has been with Mathayus, believing this has stripped her of her mystical powers. To test her, he releases venomous snakes into a jar and commands her to put her hand inside. After hesitating, Cassandra bravely reaches in, grabs one of the snakes, and turns it against Memnon, threatening him. Meanwhile, outside, Balthazar and his warriors continue their assault, and Balthazar finally gets his revenge by killing Prince Takmet, the traitor who murdered his own father and sided with Memnon. Inside the castle, Mathayus and Memnon engage in a brutal fight. As they clash, a soldier with a drawn bow appears, aiming at Mathayus. Cassandra, recalling her vision of Mathayus being struck by an arrow, throws herself in front of him. However, Mathayus quickly spins her aside and takes the arrow in his back. Enraged, Cassandra kills the soldier, while Mathayus, despite his injury, grabs the bow and arrow and takes aim at Memnon. Though Memnon, a master swordsman, tries to deflect the shot, he fails. The arrow strikes him, and he stumbles backward. As he falls from the castle, the scientist's bomb explodes below, engulfing Memnon in flames and ending his reign of terror. With Memnon dead, the remaining soldiers surrender, and peace returns. The people crown Mathayus as king, and he agrees to marry Cassandra, making her his queen. Balthazar and his warriors, satisfied that their land is safe, depart to continue their lives. The movie ends with a tender kiss between Mathayus and Cassandra, symbolizing a new beginning for both their kingdom and their love.